what I'm making here are these 4 holes in the top. This is a leveling pad that will go on the bottom of the uprights of the bookcases. And so these will be the way that you can actually get in there and turn them and adjust. So what I've got here is a little fixture that goes in, we clamp it so it doesn't move. We drill hole number 1. Pull that out, and then I have a hole over here. It's at 90 degrees. I just put this bolt in there, and then voila, it's all set up. I don't have to keep marking and center punching and all that business. So these little, not so little, but they're a nut and a washer that I'm putting, attaching to each other. They will be embedded in the bottom of the uprights of the shelving, and then there will be a very large screw that screws into them, a bolt, that will be attached to those copper pieces. And this is how those will be leveled out. So right now I'm just essentially just soldering the nut and the washers together so that I can epoxy them into the bottom of the. Here's a nut, the 3/4 inch nut that goes on a 3/4 inch piece of all thread, and it's got a washer soldered on the back side. Just needs to be soldered because it isn't gonna. Everything is in compression with this application, and that's going to be a leveling glide, you see. So I'm using the leveling glide as a tool to get this glued in there, using some cyanoacrylate or super glue, kind of a thick, a medium viscosity, not real thin. Spray the accelerant in there. This goes in that hole that's counterbore, and then I turn this out. I want to make sure it's turning. I also put a little oil on those threads so that in the event that some CA gets on those threads, it doesn't bind me up. Alright, so these are the leveling glides that are made out of a little copper pad, and they have been patinaed with a cupric nitrate, and I'm just putting a little thin coat of lacquer on them so that they don't tarnish. But you'll notice on them, if you look up closely, the patina has been buffed off on this corner, which is just a detail that I wanted to create so that you could see the copper. What I'm trying to figure out now is how much of this copper cable I'm going to need for one to go vertically from the top down and through these shelves, and then wrap around an axle in the center of that round feature. That round feature is going to be made up of these farm discs. Okay, they'll have an axle, another one over here, and then on the axle it'll have copper wrapped around it. These will sit, this is laying down, so that, just so you get an idea, will sit like so, and then the shelves will go up from there. Alright? What I'm trying to figure out is, and it's just simple arithmetic, is, the diameter of that is, say, 4 inches, and 4 inches times however many wraps I want, and then a 1/4 inch cable, I roughly need about 20 feet to wrap around that axle. What I'm trying to figure out here now is, this is a little kind of a metal feature, and these are out of they're John Deere discs from a farm disc, for disking a field. They are discs from a disc, and they're almost the same size, but I'm trying to get them the exact same size because they're going to appear to be supporting a bottom shelf, and they kind of need to be the same size. Getting this little bottom spool feature secured so that it's going to be easy to install in the installation. It's a little loose still. So this is like a giant wing nut, but it'll have 6 of these. This is threaded, so there's a rod goes through and pulls that all together. And now we have the spool set up so that it comes off the center of the spool and goes up through those shelves. Okay, so just looking at the drawing here, the front of every upright has got a 3-inch piece of wood, which are all right here, on the front. And if you look in this area, you can see there's a cross. These are going to be 2 grooves going across. Then there's a groove that goes down, a groove that goes up. Then there's 3 up here. And then, in addition, there will be some little pieces of copper in pieces like this that'll be inlaid, to be determined, locations. And so anyhow, right now I'm going to just put the grooves across using a router and a little T-square tool that I've made. What I'm making now would be the equivalent of a shelf standard. The shelves are going to be supported on a little sawtooth shelf standard. So there'll be a piece that goes across from one shelf standard in the front to one in the back on both ends of the shelf. So it's just this little angle that goes along, and I've created a tool from a router and a part of an old Hearst half panel router, and this is a Hitachi chop saw rig. I had a machinist make this, and we got this all set up so we can tilt it and do all kinds of good stuff. But anyway, now then, what I'm doing is I'm making, they're going to end up being thin strips like so. This was just a test piece to get set up. So let me just do a couple of these. I'm going to probably just do 2 more, and then the blue tape is where I'm going to stop. I want to keep about the same distance. So remember these guys when I was routing in the notches? These go right here and right over there. And they all have to be sanded and made to feel friendly. But these are the little notches that shelf supports will sit in. So this is one of the upright panels. It's, this front piece has all been adhered. And they're all different. Every panel is different. In fact, here's a panel as well. It's a short one. This is where the leveling glides will go, and it'll sit like so, and a shelf will come up into that, and this is going to be visible. So anyhow, that's what I've been doing. And so we have a stack over here. These are kind of hollow, but mostly solid ash. little carpet squares down there to keep things from getting damaged. And there we are. That is ready to finish all that stuff. And we'll start doing that tomorrow. So we are laminating 3 pieces of ash together to make an arched canopy over the top of this bookcase. And I'm using epoxy to do this, and a vacuum bag. So there's one layer of everything. Okay, let's slide it in like we did before. We'll just slide this in. This is laying on its face, and these are the canopy tops, and I'm joining these curved pieces to those vertical members, and also to themselves. And then also there's a copper cable that'll go here, and a copper cable that will run through these shelves and up to the top of this canopy. So getting all those elements to come together and look nice and function, because this is in fact what keeps these uprights all spread and solid at the top. So the canopy is not only a visual component but also pretty structural. And Susie, you might have to be here to grab it, once we get it up in the air partway. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah. That's not bad. Oh, you guys, thank you very much. Ooh. Oh yeah, I like it.
I don't ship all apart, right?
Huh?
You said it goes to Mississippi, it'll be in pieces, right?
Pieces and parts, yeah.
So this is facing out.
Yeah. So this is the front.
There you go.
Ooh, I think I like that. And on a brown, it'll have... So it's complete and it's installed. Some of the things that maybe didn't get photographed were these little elements of copper, the cables and the fittings. These are just some visual components. These are solid copper rod chunks and Wingay, and the adjustable shelves are an old style, which you can see there. This thing comes out, move that, change the height of your shelf. So there's that. And then these now have their little copper elements. So now these shelves are, you know, actually durable. They'll hold something. And down at the bottom here is the spool feature. That's all turned out about how I expected. Those are made from farm disc discs. So yeah, I mean, here is going to be a television. Up above you can see the canopies. They arch and join and have a sculpted edge on them, which is kind of nice. Makes it have more movement, I think. And yeah, that's about it.